Good afternoon. This is being recorded yesterday, hence I'm wearing the same shirt. I've done this because there is the Rick Rule Symposium going on in the States, and I saw a particularly interesting interview which can contain lots of different aspects about where we're headed, where we are, where we're headed, and what's likely to happen. And it's entitled The 100 Trillion Hole. Now, this is the budget deficit recognised by everyone in the States as being there in terms of benefits owed. So in other words, off-balance sheet liabilities of the American government at this stage. And of course, as people live longer, those will increase. So 100 trillion hole. And the issue is, can it be filled by gold? Can that hole, that massive gap, be filled by gold? No, it can't. But let's go with it, okay? As Rick Rule says, the world won't end. Yes, there's 100 trillion hole, but the world won't end. But what he sees is the continued weakening of currencies by governments to lessen that amount in real terms come the day that it falls due. And obviously that happens over a long, long period. So he sees the currencies weakening, and that makes incredible sense. And how do you weaken the currencies? Inflation. You create inflation. This happened in the 70s. And in the 70s, gold appreciated 30 times. However, and this is where I love having lived through that period and understanding it better than people can now, and also better than people are told now. I'm not sure it's an intentional lie or deception, but it's just not the truth, okay? So if you go back in the history books, and if you listen to Rick Rule even, the implication is that inflation only drove gold up 30 times, okay, from 35 to 1,000 in the 70s. Now, here comes experience. Here comes real life experience. There I am as what is called a safe custody clerk, okay, at National Westminster Bank, Beaconsfield. Beaconsfield we used to call it, but the locals call it Beaconsfield because it was based on a field with a beacon in it. So it was called Beaconsfield. And there I am as safe custody clerk. And we had the Afghan 1.0. We had the invasion of Afghanistan by Russia. Now, please put yourself back 45 years, those who can, okay? That on the front page of every newspaper, the BBC, everywhere, was World War III. Russia was invading Afghanistan as a precursor to much more. And this was World War III. That made gold react to $1,000, not inflation. I was there. I was selling gold. In those days, we had the Exchange Control Act of 1947, I believe it was, in the UK, and banks were restricted on how they could sell gold. We could only sell them in sovereign or Krugerrand form. We couldn't sell bullion. It was a long time ago, remember. This is 1980. 45 years ago. It's a lifetime, isn't it? And there I was selling to the very rich stockbroker belt in Beaconsfield who were buying Krugerrands and sovereigns. Why? World War III. It was not inflation. It really wasn't. Some of it was inflation, and I would say that probably $35 to $600 was inflation. But that blow off, that 600 to 1,000, was purely World War III in 1980. We've come a long way and got nowhere. Okay, so again, you see, you have to join the dots, but you have to examine the dots, because sometimes the dots aren't real. They're not true. They're not a lie. They're just a misinterpretation. And I can link that to today, and I can link it to the word vaccine. And I'm sorry, but I can. If you were born when I was born, if you lived through the age I lived through, a vaccine inoculated and prevented spread. End of. MMR and, of course, mumps. I had when I was young. You didn't catch it, you didn't spread it. Job done, that's a vaccine. Not one that doesn't inoculate, not one that doesn't prevent spread, not one that eases symptoms. No, that's a redefinition. That's vaccine reimagined, as they say in the modern marketing world. A vaccine inoculated and prevented spread. Okay? Just the truth. Now, the truth on gold, and these are relevant, the vaccine, the lies, the mistrust, it's all relevant to where we are today. It's all relevant to what's happening in the financial markets. It's all relevant to what's happening at every government level. Every level. Mistrust. Now, that is something that will take gold an awful lot higher. Because what can you trust in this world today? You see, Rick Rule I love, and I really like listening to him, and I'll try and find a bit more of his story here. So he says in the 70s inflation took off and gold increased 30-fold. I've explained to you that the last part of that, it may be increased 15-fold, but the last 15-fold was definitely the Russians invading Afghanistan. Even my manager's clerk at NatWest Beaconsfield at the time was buying gold, was buying Krugerrands because he was panicking. Okay, I know it, I was there, I was selling them. So the truth is lost in today's world. In fact, everything is lost in today's world, isn't it? There is no trust. And do you really trust that your pension will be paid? And this is the point of Rick Rule's presentation. How do they fill the 100 trillion gap that they have in terms of future expenses, liabilities versus assets that they are likely to have? There is an answer. We'll come to that later. So I've explained to you the distortion of the truth, and it is so important because we just don't get the truth, and people don't check. People don't dig, people don't research, they just accept what they're told because it's convenient. But it's not the truth. Oh dear. So there we are. One thing I did love actually on the interview with Daniela Carboni and Rick Rule, brilliant line from him, was that she said, you know, is it a master plan of Trump and those? And he said, I'm not sure those in power are capable of having a master plan. I thought that was brilliant. I like Rick Rule. He's very straight. He's down the line. Doesn't mean he's always right. Really doesn't. On their panel discussions, they had a lot of discussions. They had a lot of differences. Jim Rickards on one side, Rick Rule on the other. Doesn't matter. But they all have gold as the likely solution or temporary solution to this terrible, terrible problem. Okay. As he said, you know, they may not be capable of having a master plan, and they're only driven by self-absorption in their power. They're not trying to help people. They're just trying to stay powerful. Goodness me, have we seen that across the world in the last 5 years, especially with drug companies. Corporate fascism. We'll keep coming back to it, because until you understand the underlying elements that are driving everything, the corporate fascism, the vaccine lies, the mistrust that creates, you won't understand what's really happening in the financial world. You won't. You need to dig, you need to spend time, you need to research, or you need to listen to people like me who tell you the truth. All I do is find the truth, join the dots, present them to you. What else have we got here? Oh, another thing that Rick said, which I thought was beautiful, was that he actually went, and I can't remember for which company he was working then, but he was presenting, oh, it was Sprots, yes. He was presenting opportunities or solutions to the BRICS countries, and he asked them, you know, why is there a problem here in the trust of the dollar? And they said, well, the only thing we trust less than the dollar is each other. I thought that was superb, because it's true. If you think India trusts China, look up disputes on the line of actual control. Just put that into Google and get all the information out. India does not trust China. China doesn't trust anyone. Okay? So BRICS is a non-entity in real sense, but it's there at the moment presented as something very different. And there are reasons it's working, especially for India. India is having tremendous benefits from it. It's getting nice, cheap Russian oil. It's not part of the Western world which has sanctioned Russia. So it's getting nice, cheap oil and it's growing its economy. Why wouldn't you, as Indian Prime Minister Modi? Why wouldn't you? Fantastic. So again, don't be deceived by what you're told or what is presented as an easy answer. The BRICS are united. No, they're not. They don't trust each other. They really don't. But the world's perception of BRICS versus US is enough, i.e. the perception, is enough to give us the opportunity that I've been talking about. Gold, silver, XRP. XRP, I've explained to you, is a hedge. It's a very logical, sensible hedge, because in my world, I can see the possibility that crypto will fill the 100 trillion hole. It is possible. I'm not saying it's going to happen, I'm just saying I see it as possible. Okay, thank you very much. I hope you've enjoyed that, and do watch that Rick Rule interview with Daniela Camboni. It's a very good interview. Thank you.